Hello and welcome to Tabletop 24. I'm Alan.
I'm John.
I'm Brian.
And welcome to another episode of We'll Play Again, where we take a look at games we've recently got to the table with a view of how quickly we can get back to the table. With ever-growing collections, time can be precious. So we answer the question of, will we play again? Today we have Agropolis from Gigamic. In Agropolis, we are playing competing architects trying to build up our own Agropolises. And to do so, we will be drafting tiles from the centre of the board to grow our Agropolis out and up. We'll take a tile, and to start off with, I can take the first tile for free, or any tile that's going to follow it for 1 stone for each tile I've passed. So for instance, if I wanted to take this end tile, it's going to cost me 4 stone. I don't have that, so I'm just going to take this first tile here. You must join on your existing Agropolis, and I'm going to place it up on here. In a later round, if you wish to, when you've drafted your tile and you are able to spam more than 1 tile, without hanging over the edge, you can place a tile on top of an already drafted one. And why would you want to do that? Mainly because if you cover up any of these quarries, you will be getting 1 stone per quarry. So for instance, I'd gain 1 stone there. If I was to later cover these 2 up, once I've built up and out, I could gain another 2, which will enable me my drafting options later on in the game. Okay, or you might want to cover up existing tiles that are not scoring you anything. We will then go down until there's only 1 tile left in the available market. Each player will be taking in turns. That'll go off to the left. We'll then take one of these available stacks that we've built up at the beginning of the game, moving that out into the middle to set up a new drafting round. We'll keep going round and round and round until we've used up all of these stacks, at which point we are going to have very large, sprawling and tall Agropolises that we are then going to score. Scoring is determined by either a district or a plaza, of which you need at least 1 of each to score because they're going to be multiplied together. Each of the districts have different scoring conditions as well. So for instance, the houses will score for the largest joined section of houses. So if I had 6 or 7 houses in a row, times the number of plazas, so for instance, stars on plazas, for instance here I've got 2, so that would score me 2 times however long that was. Markets, when they're placed, they don't want to be joining each other, so they want to be as far away from each other as possible, and they need at least 1 square in between them. Again, they'll be multiplied by the number of plazas that you've built in your Agropolis. Again, it's only visible plazas and districts that are going to score. If, for instance, I was to put 2 markets next to each other, they just wouldn't be eligible for scoring. So you could still do it, but it's not going to work in your favour. Barracks needs to be on the outer edge, so this would still score if I had a plaza for it. So for instance, if I put this in here, it would still score me points. However, if for some silly reason I did that, only this barracks would be scoring. Okay. Temples want to be completely surrounded, and parks, gardens can be anywhere in your board, but they are worth quite a lot because the multipliers of the plazas are ×3. At the end of the game, we'll add up all of those different scoring conditions, plus however many stone that we've got left, and the person with the most points there is the winner. Safe to say, at that point, if you've done all right, you're going to have scored quite a few points. I think the multipliers do rack up fairly quickly. And obviously, you might have a few different layers. So the only thing I didn't mention in there is if you have put a tile above another tile, so let me think about how I can get this done, like that. This tile will score 2, whereas this one would score 1. Total, if this was my Agropolis, it would score 2, 1, times 2, so 3 times 2, 6 points. So you're actually going to get more if you go higher up. So it does benefit you, but then of course you're going to be covering up potential scoring opportunities as well. That's about it.
So this has, one of the things I love about games is you find one that's got a lovely simple rule set mechanic like this, but you play it and it suddenly becomes, oh, it's not that simple to play. There's a bit more to it. There's more of a puzzle element to it. There's a bit more to think about and to go into and to get out of the game. This very much has that for me. It scratch the surface. There's more to it. I mean, the times we've played it, it's about getting these multipliers and just making sure that you can get the maximum points out of it and just keep your lovely little Acropolis, your Greek village, just get it perfect, get them maximise the points. There's a lot to it for such a simple rule set.
Yeah, it is all about the puzzle, really. And you can spend a lot of time making sure that you beat all these building rules. Unfortunately, you can spend, like I did a few times, too much time getting the orientation correctly, following the rules, and that's missing the multipliers. And if you miss the multipliers, you've lost the game.
Yeah.
So you've got to keep an eye on that. I think you've got to keep an eye on what people are doing, because if they're also going for the same colour scheme you are, if they're going for those multipliers when they come up on the river, you've got to spot those and try to get them as quickly as you can. And you quickly run out of stone, so that means it forces you to do what you said and try covering up things just to sort of get yourself some more stone to get those better cards.
Yeah, it's leaving yourself just enough space that you're actually covering up that. So, for instance, in this example, actually placing a tile like this is perfect, because on a later turn, I can come along and place a tile like that.
3 stone.
I'll gain 3 stone and I have not lost a single thing.
Yeah.
And in fact, I've then put this barracks to score me 2 points. This town, if it was connected, would score me 2 points as well. So times the multiplier. So you've got that sort of, do you go wide? Do you go tall? Do you do a mix? Depends upon what comes out. So the solution to the puzzle is so varied.
Yeah.
And I think for that reason, it's got quite a lot of replayability. You know, there's lots of different types of versions of these. You can put them in different orientations. You can put them over each other. So you can play the game over and over again and never have the same game twice.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about what's available on your turn to get, and you know, other games, and this may suffer it as well, is the tile that you want just disappears before your turn, and if you haven't got enough stone to be able to move down and buy the one you want, you're limited to having something that might not be the optimum move. But that said, interesting you saying about keeping your eye on other people and what they're collecting. I didn't at all. I was just looking at what mine, that suits me, that goes here, that's mine, that's that. I didn't care what other people were doing on theirs at all. I really didn't. It was just, I'm building my town.
And there's me sitting perfectly on the fence in between these two. I think you've got to pay enough attention to what everybody else is doing, but if you hate draft, you're going to hurt yourself, because you're going to take a toll you do not want. And there might be the 2 better options for you, but and also you're probably not going to have enough stone to hate draft. So whilst you probably want to keep an eye on what somebody else is doing, because if they're gone all in on green, the chances of you then getting a green tile later in the game is very slim. So maybe you want to diversify a little bit. And this plays up to 5. There's 5 different types of districts, so you could diversify.
It's interesting because the times we played it, I've not gone for a full spread of the colours. I've only gone for 4. I've always missed one out purposefully. And then it just narrows your options and then gives you a little bit more focus. And I just found that's helped me. But yeah, never gone for the green. Yeah. Don't know why.
I've never gone for the yellow.
Yeah, and this is it. Maybe maybe there's something in that. So there's something in this about other tile laying games, Carcassonne, and I'm also thinking about Alhambra as well. I mean, Alhambra's got the extra element that you're collecting the cards to buy things for a certain value to put the cards in your tableau to get the maximum amount of points. And with Carcassonne, you've got the roads, the fields, the cities, the meeples to try and grab it all. There's just an extra little layer to those than there is over the top of this. But that said, this is nothing wrong with this game. It's a lovely playing, great little tile laying, set collection, little game.
I think the thing for me is this is very much a family weight game. Okay. And we've recently put through the We'll Play Again process in the footsteps of Darwin, and we mentioned in that I'll do a recall to this video. And the reason for that is I think they're both sitting in that space whereby they are family weight games aimed at people that potentially aren't heavy gamers, or aimed at people that want that lighter filler in their game collection. And that's fine, but I think this does something more than Darwin in the footsteps of Darwin does.
Yeah.
And I think this gives us a lot more choice, a lot more accountability, a lot more options. So in Darwin, you're selecting from 1 of 3. Go check that video out for a bit more information on it. You're just selecting 1 of 3 things. Here, you've potentially got maybe only 1 thing, but even once you take that 1 thing, you've then got all of these options to put it. So it's not, there's a lot more options in that. And also, I had to read the rules on this a couple of times, because even though it is a short game, and it's fairly simple in what it's doing. The mental arithmetic that you're trying to do to min max your points. If you're playing with a group of hobby gamers who are going really competitive at this, that last round be like, which tile do I want type thing? What's going to get me the most points? And
but it's also what you can afford. If you've got no stone, you've got choice of one tile. So, but it's about then where you place it to maximise your points and what you can get.
But even if you've got that one tile, and that's the key point, is you've got a choice of where to put it.
Yeah.
The plazas that the multipliers do come at a premium in this, and they are if you pick up 2 red ones early in the game, you're going all out to put reds at the edge of your board. And the same with the purples and the blues. I'll just add this. I'm actually, funnily enough, okay with the colour blindness on this purple blue. It's funny enough, it doesn't present much of a problem. The green and the reds are a bit wonky, but it's
But even that, they're very different on the style of the tile.
Exactly.
Pictures quite different, aren't they? So that helps as well.
And if you're bored with how that's worked, you can flip over your little player aid, and there's a variant for each of the different districts. So if you want to change up how you're playing it, and you want to just do stuff, so the markets, for instance, will score double if they're adjacent to a market plaza. So this adds that little bit more complexity to, actually, I've really got to think about where I'm placing stuff now, not just, okay, well, I need to this. It almost adds that extra little bit. So how's this? If your largest group has a value of 10 or more, it gets ×2. So you start adding that extra layer into it. So I think at that point, it really gets into the real meat of what this is trying to do. But it's still playing in that 25 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It looks like there's a lot of tiles here, and there are. I mean, what we got? We got 11 stacks of 4 plus the original 5, so 49 odd tiles. So there's a lot there that you got getting through.
You've got 12 rounds.
Yeah, and you still then got to work for all this, and just there's so much more choice to it, so much more that you can almost strategize. Yeah, you're limited if you've not got the stone. You're limited to what you're taking and things like that. But yeah, it just adds a little bit more to it.
Even that, it doesn't take too many rounds to get the stone, to get the more. And you've got time to do it. Especially towards the middle of the beginning of the game.
Yeah, I think we found when we were playing this, we were flying through, and this was getting tossed around the table. You're first, and then it got to the point that people are picking tiles up before the people after them hadn't laid their last one.
Yeah.
So you can catch up, and it was just like, right, everybody step back, right. We're ready right now. We can go.
The age-old drafting issue. Hang on.
You need a game controller.
Slow down, guys. We just need to get this. So I think that with everything, and the fact that you've got the variability in the variants, you've got different tiles that are going to come out in different orders. I think the replayability is just off the charts for it. Yeah, there might come a point where you've seen a lot of the combinations, you know roughly what you want to go for. Yes, if you see a Gardens Plaza that's ×3, let's go after it. You're going to know what you're going to want to do.
It kind of reminds me a bit of Cascadia. We played at the UKG.
You did, yes.
It reminds me of a little bit of that you're drafting the things to put them in different combinations to get the points. It reminds me of that. Not to its detriment. It's a different game, different rule set.
Yeah, and I think this would. Well, actually, I'll come back to it after we've answered the next question. So, with everything being said, John, would you play again?
Yeah, I'd play it again soon. I think if it came off the shelf, I'd play it. And if a light game just to ease yourself in, or at the end of the night just to ease yourself back out, this fits the bill.
Right.
I played again. Yeah, I liked it. I need it to play a few more times, I think, just to sort of fully explore some of the combinations. And but I wouldn't reach for it in preference to other games. But certainly, if someone suggested it, I'd be happy to play it again.
And for me, it's going to be we'll play again soon. I think what the point I was about to make was this is probably going to be my big box filler go-to now. There are smaller card game type fillers that are out there that I would play. But for something that's in a bit of a bigger box that's got a bit more to it, I think this is that. And the fact that it plays, I think we'd probably get it down to 20 minutes of play. And I think you quite quickly start running away with how many times you've actually played it.
Yeah.
But I think it's a lovely little game. And won't be going in for a little while, I don't think.
I mean, it says 25 minutes on the box.
And it plays in that.
It does play
in that's it. So If you haven't done so already, please check out other videos on the channel, give us a like and a subscribe, and we will catch you next time. Take care.
Yeah.